So, hey everyone, I'm Mackayla, and today we are welcoming Brotality to the Soundtrack of Our Lives podcast. Welcome, guys. We're glad to have you here. And then, can you introduce yourself so that everyone knows your voices later on?
I'm Reese. I play bass and vocals in Brutality.
My name is Bryce. I'm on guitar and vocals.
My name is John. I play drums.
Awesome. Yeah, so your single It Feeds came out recently. How has it been received by the fans?
It's been doing really good with the fans. Like we are just so like blessed and honored to be able to like put out music that people like want to and do listen to. So like people have seemed to really be digging it. It's a little groovier than a lot of our other stuff, maybe a little less thrash, which we typically get called. But yeah, people seem to be loving it, which I'm super happy about and grateful for.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind it?
So lyrically, so I wrote all the lyrics. So lyrically, kind of this song and the whole EP that we're gonna release in June kind of have to do with a lot of me questioning like the idea of death and the fear of death.
Mhm.
So kind of my experience, like when I was a little kid, I had this like almost like paralyzing fear of death. And then when like I found my faith and like really grew into my faith and found it for myself, like that fear of death just went away. And so this is me kind of reflecting back on that whole process and thinking about now, like years later, what my conception of like death is and just, I guess, people struggling with loss. And so this song kind of like is the center of that for the whole EP
Mhm.
at large. And the kind of like it that is feeding is that fear of death.
That makes sense. I'm glad that you've overcome that paralyzing fear.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was like, I don't know, it was just ever since I was like really young, it was just a thing that I struggled with a lot. Like I don't know, I tend to like think pretty deeply about things, and so I guess maybe even when I was a kid, I would sometimes like go on these like tangents of like, oh my gosh, I have no idea like what that's gonna look like,
Mhm.
and it would be really scary. And then yeah, like once I found my faith and like truly like started like dedicating myself to it, it like radically changed that. And now I've had like peace and that like fear is not at all paralyzing anymore.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
I bet it's nice to have that off your shoulders.
very much so.
Yes, you also put out a music video for it. Can you share what that was like putting that together?
Oh, yeah. So when we went into this whole like batch of songs, like we are like totally independent. Like we're like no label, like no booking, no management. Like we do everything ourselves. So we kind of wanted to like continue that philosophy into our music video and like see what we could do
Hmm.
on our own. So like we did the whole thing on basically a $0 budget in our college town with my roommate who was an art major at our school. And like we just decided like let's do this and see how good we can get it. So part of that was deciding that we wanted to go for like a found footage type look
Hmm.
because like we understand our limitations as well and that like on a $0 budget we're probably not going to get a cinematic looking music video. So we've always been inspired by like that like found footage type horror stuff like Blair Witch or
Hmm.
there's this trailer for the movie called Skinamarink, which I'm too scared to even watch the movie, but just the trailer was like inspirational enough. So we got like a camera off Facebook Marketplace that was able to do what we wanted to do and got our roommate to film it and his girlfriend to do the lighting for it. And we used this building that's in our college town that like we shot actually a bunch of other music videos in. Like we shot the It Feeds music video in there, but then a bunch of older videos like Nosedive and Frost Empire and An Evil Presence. Like all of those music videos were just shot in different areas of this building because it's a
Hmm.
massive old armory. So we did that, and one of the coolest parts of it is that it's this room that they have storage for like parades and stuff, but it just kind of turns into this puppet room where there's like all of these big like parade floats that have like it looks so creepy. It reminds me of that like train car in the Polar Express where all the
Hmm.
marionettes are hanging from. And we were like, we have to shoot in this. So to like add to the creepiness factor, we did it at night and we lit the whole thing up in red. And like that's the breakdown. So if you pause during the breakdown of the video, you
Hmm.
can like see like weird like monkey faces and like all these big like float props in the background. I'm super happy with the way it turned out. But yeah, that music video started with like as soon as we got to the building, it was so hot in there. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna crack a window. And as soon as I opened it, the whole window slid down and just shattered everywhere. And like we were like we got permission to use this as a favor, and like this guy was helping us out. The first thing we do is break a window in this place. So for the rest of the day, I was trying to like, get my mental state back to like we're fine, like it's just a window. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Did it go better after you broke the window?
It did. Everything definitely got better when we stopped for dinner and we got a bunch of mo's, and then for like 45 minutes, Reese and the guy who was filming, there was like a basketball court in the building. They just were trying to make half court shots for like 45 minutes straight.
It was a long time.
Did you make any?
We got really close. Like a few times we got really close.
But yeah, that boosted the morale for sure.
Yeah. So, John, what is it like working with two brothers?
You know, that's a fantastic question.
Yeah, let's hear it, John.
I guess you should hear it. I don't know. If you took one brain and chopped it in half, it is absolutely exactly like that. Like they'll do things that are like identical. Like they'll say the same thing at the exact same time sometimes.
Yeah.
Like they'll just reply to a question identically, and it's so it can be creepy, is what I'm saying. Sometimes there's like magical things that happen, but aside from that, it's just they obviously have a great dynamic, and like writing is super easy because there's not that like they just the brains are the same, and that helps in a lot of ways. It makes a lot of things easier. But it's just something you gotta get used to, like anything else. I mean, I grew up with 5 other siblings, so I'm used to those dynamics. 4 of them were brothers, so I definitely am a part of the dynamic pretty comfortably.
Was it hard to kind of fit yourself in between them and your dynamic?
No, I don't really think so. I mean, just because it wasn't really something I was worried about per se. I was more just so focused on like the band and the music and the project that I was like, we'll get to know each other the more we do it, because like we weren't really friends at all before I joined the band. So it was we were able to more focus on the music and the project itself than our own personal dynamics with each other, and that kind of just grew on its own afterwards.
Do you have any advice for anybody that's working with brothers?
Sure, I guess. I mean, just advice for anyone that's, I don't want to say singled out, but if you're in your own domain with anything and everybody else is kind of in their own more or less collective, just be comfortable with yourself. Get used to spending time alone, like not because you're gonna be alone, but because just mentally you are alone in a sense. So you just get comfortable with yourself and like be able to have a good time alone.
Do we?
I know. No, that sounds bleak, and that's not the picture I'm trying to paint. Is that it's bleak? I mean that in like the most like joyful way possible. Yeah. Like just like you don't need to conform to what anyone else is doing. You could just do your own thing. Don't be insecure, but I know that's easier said than done. So try really hard not to be insecure and be comfortable with yourself, and you'll have a good time.
Okay, and then on the reverse of that, Bryce and Reese, what's it like working with your brother?
It's honestly just awesome. Like, there's very few negatives that I could think about. Like, we've always been super close since we were little, and like music has always just like kept our relationship close together. Like I started playing bass partly because Bryce played guitar and he always wanted to like be in a band, and so playing bass would complement that well. And then I developed my own love for it and everything. But we've always been like playing live and just like writing music together since we were like literally 10 years old each. So we've like always kind of had that, and it's always just like centered us around like, I think we've always kind of had this mutual thing where we feel like despite any problems or differences, we're working on something that is greater than them. Like we've always taken like our music and what we create seriously, and we've always like since we were little had like just dreams of having a career in music. And so having those like same like dreams, I think has always like grounded us and kept like any like discrepancies like kind of more or less just insignificant. So I think, yeah, our heads are kind of in the same place a lot of the time with like okay, at the end of the day, this is where we want to be. And so, this little thing doesn't really matter, and we're able to get over it pretty quick for the sake of like our goals.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think Reese covered it very, very well. But one thing that I'll add that makes it really cool in a practical sense is just like one, like knowing how each other operates all the time. So even like when we're touring or like we dorm together in school, like even with that, like we're like on each other's schedules, we like know what we want to do. Like we're just very familiar with how each other operates. And then when that comes to music, sometimes it's really cool because since we've been playing music since we were both like 7 years old, like there's been times where like I'll write a riff and I'll want to show him, and I can literally just like stand there and look at him while I'm playing it and go like da na na na, and then he can pick it up without like me actually having to say like, oh, it's this or it's that. Like he can just pick stuff up really really easy because our styles are kind of similar, and I feel like our fingers kind of naturally want to fall in the same places, especially because we play all the same music all the time. But it makes getting ideas across super super easy.
That's what I said horribly before, by the way. All of that for sure. The chemistry is very obvious in what I meant.
Do you have any advice for people that are in a band with their brothers?
I guess kind of goes in with what I was saying before, like being able to kind of humble yourself when there is like an issue, and being able to like, if you are both on the same page about like say you're in a band. I mean, it could be another project too, but say you're like working with your sibling in such a way where like what you're working on is very important to both of you,
Mhm.
then being able to put like some disagreements aside, like being able to just humble yourself and say, like, okay, like I don't need to be right or wrong here. Let's just like kind of like move on, forget it, and in literally a couple minutes, we've experienced like it's over, and we're just focusing on the music again. And like
Mhm.
so, being able to have something that can keep you both grounded, I think has been super important for us.
Yeah, I agree. I think you said it perfectly.
Nothing to add?
Uh, find a sibling who will humble themselves. No, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, he nailed it. He
Find a
nailed
less
it.
prideful sibling.
Yeah, so you had mentioned a little bit about like when you're touring, it helps to have your brother. So you guys have the It Feeds tour starting in July. How do you prepare for a tour?
Ooh, so the preparation for tour starts a while back because I'm the one who does all of our booking. So
Mhm.
I've been like kind of preparing for this and getting it set since December, like just with starting dates. But in terms of more like practical preparation, like how we get ready, of course, lots of practice time, like lots of rehearsal, and just really running our set so that it's not really about like, oh, are we gonna get the songs right? Are we gonna like get the flow right? Like it's really just about like, are we going to put on the best show, because the songs are second nature. So making sure that the songs are at that point when we're hitting the road is huge. And then another thing is just I feel like mentally getting ready to like be away for a little while. I think we all do pretty good with like traveling and being away. So it's not really anything that like we have to like deal with super heavy, but just
Mhm.
being okay with like, okay, yeah, like for the next month, like this is what we're like putting it all into.
Mhm.
And it's not going to be like the most comfortable thing in the world, but we're doing what we love. So even if it's
Right.
not comfortable, you can still like rest assured that you're having a great time. And yeah, so a lot of stuff like that. And we do a lot of planning beforehand too. So it's nice to go into tour with like a really like solid itinerary, like everything is already figured out with all the venues. Like
Mhm.
all we have to do now is go and execute.
What are you guys gonna miss the most while you're gone?
Oh, I think especially it's kind of been on my mind about this coming tour. So this coming tour is probably the most high volume dates we've ever done in a row. Like we only have a handful of dates off in the month that will be out. Like the past 2 summers we've done like a 6 week and a 7 week tour, but they were definitely more spaced out, still pretty tight knit, playing multiple shows a week, but like now we're like doing 5, sometimes 6 shows a week starting in July. And so I think for me, like at like where we have grown up, we live like on a dead end street in the middle of the woods, and like so I've always like found a lot of just like peace and being able to like collect myself just being outside and like
Mhm.
being in nature when it's like quiet and like I guess like the opposite of like what like a venue space looks like. Granted, I absolutely love like playing and interacting with people at venues. Um, but you know, thinking about like doing like multiple shows in a row and sleeping in Walmarts and only getting like a day off, or maybe we get up can stay at a few campgrounds over the month. Like
Mhm.
I'm definitely looking forward to those days. But I guess yeah, just the constant travel and like kind of being in and out of like city environments and it just being like very noisy even when we're off stage
Mhm.
for me can be sometimes like I have to just put on like really chill music on a long drive and just kind of like close my eyes and like almost like meditate for a
Mhm.
while.
Yeah, for me, definitely a proper bed. I really like my bed, and being in my bed is one of my favorite things, maybe ever. On top of that, the weather. So we're New York
Oh yeah.
based. I love the weather in New York. I like the
Mhm.
cold. I really really don't like when it's hot or humid, and that's pretty much exclusively where we go. So I definitely miss the weather for sure. Yeah, yeah, definitely those two.
I don't know what like the biggest thing I miss is. I guess it's like the opportunity cost of like going on tour and like missing a couple like, oh, I could like go hang out with friends for the weekend or like
Mhm.
do this like camping trip or something like that. Like that is like somewhat of a like, oh man, like that would be fun. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's like I would much rather be touring because
Mhm.
those friends will always be there when we get back. But a more practical thing that I guess I miss is like having a little space to my own or like a little setup. Like
Mhm.
for like playing guitar when we're not on stage. Like I love being home and like having my amp and my pedals and being able to like play loud and just like enjoy time like that. So like on tour, it's like I have a practice amp that's this big that I can like tuck into a back corner of the RV with. So just little things like that.
Mhm. Do you guys have any pre or post show rituals?
Yeah, I mean, like warming up just for vocally is a really important part. I would say like, the only thing that I like have as like a requirement that I need to do before each show is just making sure that like I even if we're not like even if we're just taking like our van and it's not in the RV on like a regional show,
Mhm.
if it's sitting in the front seat and doing warm-ups for 30 minutes before we go on, like that has become a non-negotiable just because like the style of music we play is pretty like demanding
Mhm.
vocally and I've lost my voice enough over the past like couple years where like I'm when we're out on the road especially and we've got like 4 or 5 shows in a row, it's not an option to lose my voice.
Mhm.
So definitely warming up is really huge. And yeah, I guess just like drinking a lot of water too. I mean also mainly for vocals, but also just like especially like last summer we went like way down south and we were in like Mississippi and Florida and Texas and like it was grueling. And so just like drinking a ton of water just to like
Yeah,
stay sane and functioning.
really
It's
remembering to
important.
stay hydrated
Yeah,
was
yeah.
really important. We had a show in where was the one where I almost passed
Uh,
out?
Miss
Hattiesburg,
Mississippi.
That
Mississippi,
was
in
Mississippi.
an old World War II machine shop that
Hmm.
Yeah,
like it wasn't insulated. It was kind of an open air
there was
thing.
Mhm.
nothing. There was a couple fans, and that was it. And I would swear I had enough water, at least to live, but apparently not. Because on stage, I almost passed out. I was feeling like every time I hit my snare, I felt like a shock, like a vibration shoot up my arm,
Oh.
down my back, and it was happening like every time. I was like, this is not good. I don't know what, but I've never passed out before, so I was just like, oh, it's just I'm tired or something. And then I get off stage and I talk to them like, yeah, you almost passed out. That's what that is. So I guess just remembering to be hydrated because if you don't drink throughout the whole day and now it's like 20 minutes before showtime,
Yeah.
you got to do something. Otherwise, you're just not gonna feel great. Like being in some semblance of good physical condition is something you gotta pay attention to
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
especially with music like ours and a performance like ours, it's gonna hit you really hard if you aren't paying attention.
Yeah.
In addition to that, I guess right after our set ends, we try to like pack up and get to our merch table as quick as possible because like we absolutely love working merch and like talking to people. Like that's the time where like you can actually talk to people about their show experience and just their lives and what's going on. So being able to like not just see people from stage and talk there, but like to go to the merch table and talk
Yeah.
for as long as the venue will let you afterwards. That's always something we really try to do.
Are there any particular cities or venues that you're excited to play in?
Ooh, Grand Rapids, Michigan has an awesome venue called Mulligan's. They do like free shows and like the city just turns out, which is it's a great place to play. Um, we're playing in Cleveland at the Foundry, which is an awesome venue. Like I've grown up watching live cams of like all of my favorite bands play there. So this will be our second year coming in. Last year we ended up playing, and when you walked out of the Foundry, you could hear Mastodon and Gojira headlining like one of the pavilions down the road. So it was like it was a little bit of hard competition there. So I'm excited this year to like go back and like hopefully not have Mastodon within earshot.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the upper Midwest for sure. I happen to like, mainly because of the weather, but also we've had great luck there. There's been some really awesome shows, even at the smaller scale. So it's just it's nice. Nice shows are nice.
Yeah, Reese, did you have any particular places you're excited to go?
I kind of agree with both of them, but we're playing a festival called Chains Unchained Fest, which we've played a few times in the past. And so it's one of those festivals where just like awesome people putting it on. You just like feel like your family, like you're just welcomed back when you come. And so yeah, I'm really excited for that. Like we're a couple of the other bands on the bill, like we've played a bunch of shows with before. So I'm really excited to be back there. That's like a standout in my mind, I think.
Yeah. What can fans expect from a live performance from you guys?
Ooh,
Sweat.
yeah.
A lot of sweat.
Probably sweat on them as well.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it's like we like it's like a form of a workout. Like when we get on stage, it's just like okay, however long our set is, anywhere from 25 to an hour. Like this is going to be like extreme cardio, like nonsense for like as long as we're gonna be on stage. Like I kind of like to look at stages as like where are all of the things that I can jump off. So
Always, yeah.
like lots of running around and just like kind of making our stuff as heavy hitting as possible, especially for live. Like really leaning into just like disgusting tones, super heavy hits, like
Loud.
really at like the most ridiculous and heavy vocal stuff that Reese and I can do. And yes, very loud for sure. Very, very loud.
We try to be as loud as possible. I think I've tailored most of my kit to like being able to be as loud as possible. Just because we want to be able to project. I also like when you go to a show, I've only seen this really a handful of times where I'm at a show and I see a drummer that's really hitting hard, and that's when it's like you're feeling it in your bones, and I'm just like, I need to be doing that for people, otherwise I'm failing at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like when like just going to shows so much since like we were really young, like we got to see just different forms of live performance. And like for me, I remember as just always, even as like a kid, sometimes there'd be the bands who were like the heaviest bands ever, and they like wouldn't move on stage. And like I'm like
Yeah.
sitting there like, what is happening? Like
It's
how
sad.
like so when we're on stage, it's like I can't really imagine how people could get hyped up if we're just like standing
Right.
there. And
That makes
especially just
sense.
with and with our type of music too, I'm just like, if like we write our music to feel like energized and passionate, so like to not show that on stage, I feel like is just really dishonest and just a disservice to the people that came there to see you. So like whenever we get on stage, it's like I truly want to give, if it's 3 people in the crowd, like those 3 people came to see us, right? So as like a thank you to them, I want to like physically exert myself as much as possible for 45 minutes.
Yeah, so we're going to take a little bit back in time and talk about how your music has evolved from World Desolation to now.
Yeah.
Definitely a
question.
lot. So like I'm our main like riff writer. Like a lot of the songs will start with me writing some riffs and then kind of bouncing it off these guys, and we'll build from there. And I think one of the biggest things that we've like purposefully done with our new music is like kind of putting on the role of producer on our own, and
Mhm.
not just like self-produced in the meaning of like, oh, we don't have a producer so it's self-produced, but like acting as producers and trying to think in that mindset while we're writing our own songs. So like especially with this new It Feeds EP, like we made sure to like when we would demo it, we would like listen to the songs extensively and really pour into like every single second, literally, like going through and making sure that like are these transitions good? Like is there a fraction of a second where I feel bored by a part, or does
Mhm.
something move too fast? Like is everything exactly how we want it to be, and does the song captivate our attention, even like for us who've heard the songs a million times as we're writing it, like does it still captivate our attention through that entire span? So
Mm.
like we've definitely worked on that a lot, and I feel like this new EP is very good like evidence of that, because I think
Mhm.
we improved a lot at it. But that doesn't take anything away from our old stuff. I think our old stuff was a lot of just like us writing and getting our bearings and like finding what our sound was like, especially more towards worldwide. And then when the woods hit, like that was even more of like finding ourselves and like exploring like what sounds we wanted
Mhm.
more, and writing a lot of like kind of progressive stuff, some really long songs in there, like exploring different avenues we could go down. And I feel just with every release we're like honing more and more in on what we sound like and how we can take our sound and just make that like the absolute best, like
Mhm.
polished, awesome thing that it can be.
Do you guys have anything to add to that, or?
I don't know. I guess I agree with Bryce. Yeah, we just like by just the process of naturally writing more music anyways, you just learn to be that much more of a perfectionist. And so I think that that has been like the biggest thing we've learned.
I wasn't really a part of the first two albums, so I would say probably my existence has changed
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, and then like what Bryce was saying too, just like getting in touch with like the development of the music and the process, and being objective too, making sure that you are capable of listening to something not as the person who performed it,
Mhm.
and trying to just keep it as objective as possible. Because I mean, you get so tunnel visioned when you're the one who wrote the part, or you remember what happened in that take that you performed, and it's just all you're thinking about. So it's hard to keep a clear head for that sort of thing, but you get better at it every time.
Yeah, how do you get into that mindset?
Ah, difficultly. I don't know. It's like it's you gotta like I do it very actively, or at least like as you get better at it, it's less of like an active process. But like
Mhm.
while it was just like I had to think about it, like I didn't play this. What am I hearing? I'm just listening to it, and it was like it's like a pain, like a headache, just listening to focusing so hard on not focusing is really difficult. But really just like at a certain point when you hear songs enough, you almost detach from it in that way automatically,
Mhm.
because you've heard it so much that it's just become this whole like abstract thing, and you can't even pay attention to it that closely for
Mhm.
that long without becoming objective eventually. Because I mean, even just time in general, when you recorded the take like 8 months ago, you're not so attached to it personally or
Right.
emotionally.
I think a big thing that I try to focus on that might be a little bit in a different vein than that is like really making sure that I'm just writing for what I want to hear. Like
Mhm.
it could be easy to like be writing a part and be like, oh, this is probably what should come next. But instead realizing like there's no rules, like there's nobody telling me what I've got to do. So like
Yeah.
let me mess around and put whatever I want to next, or let's make this sound as weird as we want, or as just like straight up like as awesome as we want,
Mhm.
like so like taking that step back and realizing like there are no like preconceived notions in writing songs, like even though
Mhm.
there can be a formula in a lot of like big popular songs, and like a lot of the biggest songs ever have like a format and everything, like there are no rules ever saying that you have to follow that format. So reminding ourselves like we could put whatever we want anywhere in these songs, and if it's something that really speaks to us and if it's something that we really like why not do it?
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I think like especially what John, like what you said about just like distance kind of creates that objectivity that you're looking for. Like after we're like the kind of final few days of like recording songs, or like when you're like nearing the end of the process, or where you're almost sending it out for mastering, you start to get to a certain point where you can like, yeah, like you've just heard them so much that like
Mhm.
you can start to almost feel like you're an outside listener. And I think like kind of like the question you mentioned before about like this new stuff and being different from older stuff, that's one thing that like I'm really excited about with this new stuff more than ever. Is I think it's like the first time where once that kind of objectivity set in, I was still so excited about
Hmm.
these songs. Like I was still like just loving them so much, even though I felt like it wasn't like I didn't feel as connected to them anymore. I still just loved listening to them. So I think that's one thing that just gets us more excited too, is like just as songs themselves, apart from us writing them, I'm really loving the new songs more than ever.
And that's good that you love them.
Yeah, definitely.
That helps
It
a lot.
helps.
Helps a lot. More than you would maybe even realize, actually. I don't know if like if you're in a band whose music you're not like crazy about and it just feels like a chore, if you're like in a like a bar cover band and it's just really
Yeah.
not your thing, playing music that you really don't love is not the same as playing music that you really love.
Yeah.
It's like night and day.
Yeah,
It really
it's true.
is.
Are you speaking from experience?
I might be. I might be a little bit.
How does your songwriting process work?
Ooh, so it'll typically start with me writing some riffs. I'll like just sit down and kind of like noodle some stuff out, whether that's more like looking into music theory and building from there, or just like picking and choosing notes that sound cool together and then writing from that. But one thing that's been really cool, that's like our standard process,
Mhm.
but we've kind of been like breaching that out a little bit more, and we have a much more varied way of writing songs now. Like we've got some songs, but like we're currently in a writing process now, and like some songs have started with like John sending me some drum ideas, and then from the drums, like I will build up some riffs from there.
Mhm.
Or we've made some songs here at practice where like we'll just be messing around, and like half of a groove will happen, and we'll press pause and be like, wait, that was cool, let's flesh this out. And we've had some songs come out that way as well. So like the most typical way is like through me writing a riff, and then after that I'll put like 3 or 4 riffs together, do a rough arrangement, and then send like a demo track to these guys to hear. But yeah, nowadays it's kind of a whole mashup of things, and we've really been seeing the benefits of just kind of fleshing stuff out in practice together and working at the same time of writing stuff and seeing what can come out when we're all together in a room.
Mhm. So because you're bringing three different, or I guess as John described it, one person and then two people who share the same brain, how does that work in kind of bringing all your unique perspectives into writing a song?
I feel like I don't know, I feel like it happens like kind of naturally without much like premeditated like thought. Like
Yeah, we're not really conscious of it. I think it's more of like a trust thing.
Mhm.
Like we all trust each other's musicianship enough that when someone has an idea, we're gonna humor it till the end of it, and then we're gonna really realize it to its full extent. And then only after we've realized it will we really be critical of it and go, okay, well we can do this with it. We're gonna change it in this way. But
yeah.
we trust each other enough that we will just kind of let the ideas flow, and I think that freedom is important.
And I think it's like it's kind of surprising. I mean, like for Reese and I, not as much, but with John as well, like our ears tend to lean in the same direction.
Mhm.
There'll be a lot of times where it's like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and the other guys are like, yeah, I love that too. Let's get it done. Let's see if we could do it. So like there's never really moments where it's like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and the other guys are like, we'll try it, but I don't know how that's gonna work. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
we all kind of have the same ear for things, and it works really well when we're writing together.
Yeah, and I think too, just like us all just being in bands since like for years has
Mhm.
taught us some like just band cooperation skills of like just being open to hear everything out. Like even if it sounds like nonsense at first and you don't know how it's gonna work, like John was saying, you trust that that other person has their head in a similar place and wants the best for the song and is inspired in similar ways by music. And so if anyone has an idea, more often than not, almost every practice when we're writing new stuff, if you just like say the idea, everyone's like, that's sick. All right, let's do it. And then click it in and it's like awesome. And literally it takes one go through for that to be like an addition to the song.
Yeah, you kind of just you got to let each other, put up a board and tie a bunch of string with thumbtacks and go on their crazy rant. You got to let them do that because that's how you're going to find those ideas that are, not the obvious first choice for everybody, and it's going to be more unique if you let that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so having been in so many bands, what lessons have you learned that you use now to make this one work?
That's a good question.
Ooh, that's a fantastic question. I can't help but think practically, like for a lot of small shows, there's always whose kit are we using? Is there going to be a house kit? What do you bring? What do you not bring? I've learned to just bring everything because likely something will be terrible enough that you're going to need it anyway. Also, just learning how to be efficient in your setup and teardown, making it quick so that it's not just a jumbled mess that takes half an hour. Like a lot of drummers that are regularly gigging will tape their rugs, as I do, so that you know where your hardware is going. You mark your stands. That way you don't have to think about it. You just get it all set up beforehand and throw it on, and it's exactly where you want it. Stuff like that for sure is stuff you learn along the way, or like knowing to maybe keep a towel next to you to wipe sweat off you so it doesn't drip into your eyeballs, because that sucks a lot. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. It's not fun. It's really not fun. And then just, learning how you yourself personally operate as a musician will help you a lot. And that mostly comes with experience. So I'd rather have a towel to wipe off my sweat, but I don't want a fan in front of me. So then I can't control my hair, and then it ends up in my mouth, and then that also sucks. So you got to know what you want.
Yeah, I think one thing that has hit me a lot being in a couple different bands and just having different members here and there is making sure that everybody has the same career goals. Like, we are all very lucky. We're for all three of us, this is the dream. We'll live out of a van for however long it takes. We are all in this to be on the road and to make a full-time career. And we've played with people who haven't had that same idea before, and that's not any shade on them at all. It's just different paths people want to go down in your lives. But when you have some people in the band who are yes, this is it, this is everything, and then other people who are just I like playing on the weekends. It's not sustainable in the long run. So to be able to be in a project now where everybody is gung-ho and setting up their future in a way that allows the band to take that time, and so we're able to go on the road, and so that shows are the priority, that's huge, and that really is important for all of us.
Yeah, I think I wholeheartedly agree with both you guys, and I think I mentioned this before, of just cooperation, especially in practices, playing with a lot of different people teaches you what a lot of different band dynamics can look like, and how different dynamics can be very productive and very unproductive, and can lead to awkward tension or this and that. So being able to especially us being a three-piece has I think helped us so much with that. Being in bands when we were younger where there would be 4 or 5 people in the band, even just the simple thing of getting together for practices is much harder when you even just have one more person, because it's another person's life you have to work around. So having us three, it's much more reasonable. It's much easier to say, okay, we'll just check John and Bryce's schedule, or we're good, so that being able to have a very just super easygoing band dynamic between all three of us in terms of business stuff and booking and getting that nitty gritty non-musical stuff figured out has been really helpful.
Well, it's good that I think it's important that we all understand what needs to go into the project to get what we want out of it. Because if you're in a project where someone might not be as committed or something, then you typically have one person who has to be extra serious about those business type decisions, and then that stresses them out, and then everyone else is just sick of hearing it, and it's not as good. So it's helpful that everybody understands each other, and you learn that the hard way.
Yeah, so what advice do you have for people who are starting a band or in a band for the first time?
Ooh, so I think there are a couple different pieces of advice that I would give that kind of span different, like run different parts of the gamut.
Hmm.
I think number one is like make sure that musically you're like doing it self-servingly. Like
Hmm.
musically, you want to be writing music that you love and that you care about, like regardless of what anybody else thinks. Because there are so many bands out there who are trying to be the next insert genre here band or insert
Yeah.
genre here band, and like when that like unique character isn't there of like what you and only you can bring to the table, then the music doesn't really have the same legs to stand on.
Hmm.
Like only you listen to the exact combination of music that you listen to, so like only you have that inspiration, so why would you throw that unique amalgamation of inspirations away when you like can just use that and create music that no one's ever heard before. And I see a lot of times like the bands that get the most successful typically are not the bands that are like trying to do another thing that another band did. It's like the bands who are doing something super different and weird and like counter what
Hmm.
other people might think they're doing, because that's the only band that you can listen to for that. So I think musically make sure that you're doing what you want to do. And then on the other side of things, like business end, I guess, is take every opportunity that you can. Like every place where you feel like you can go and play a show that's going to be safe, like go do it. Like if you're able to make it happen, because you never know who you're going to meet at a show. And that's
Hmm.
not just in the way of like, oh, some label executive could be there, but like you don't know who's going to be at that show that night that might end up, oh, hey, my band's playing this show in 2 weeks, like jump on this. Or
Yeah.
who are going to be at the show who just need to hear a night of music, and that
Hmm.
you can provide that for them. Like you have no idea what people are going through, so to be able to like help them that night like is huge. So take every opportunity that you can, like really go after it and dive into it. Like have a backup plan to be safe or whatever,
Hmm.
but if it's what you're really passionate about doing, like put it all into it and truly be yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. And I think like for me, what's been like probably the most important thing with like wanting my career to be doing this is like make it about more than just the music.
Hmm.
Like I don't know, even just at this point, after like, I don't know, maybe like 10 years or so of doing this, like I don't know if I would be motivated to still keep doing it as we are now if it wasn't about more than just the music.
Hmm.
I've always felt called to like share a message of hope and love from stage and like talk to people after the set, like
Yeah.
talking to people one on one about what they're struggling with, about what they're going through, like telling them that they are seen and that they care and that like they are cared for. Like that matters so much, and I just like not a ton of bands do it. And I feel
Hmm.
like if you are thinking of like getting into music, or if you are like inspired by music and you want to share that with people, I would say like you have a story too, like you have your own experiences, you have your own life too, that like you're up on that stage with a mic and like
Hmm.
people are listening to you. Like that's an amazing opportunity that like I'm humbled to have been given and to still have. And so like I want to like I know that I've been at shows before as the fan, struggling at some
Hmm.
shows, just mentally at that time. And so like there's been a few bands in the past where like the vocalist has like said something from stage in between songs. And it has like been exactly what I needed to hear. And like that was the highlight of the set more than any song they played,
Hmm.
you know? So like I guess if for people that are like want to just like be in a band and get into music, I would say like be aware that you have an incredible platform, and a big responsibility I think comes with that, to
Hmm.
like there's a lot of hurt and struggling people in this world, and like you have that opportunity to be a source of like hope and love and reassurance for them. So yeah, like reflect on what you've been through and how you feel called to like use your experiences to help.
Hmm.
I would just say practice a lot. Practice your craft. If you have trouble practicing, learn how to enjoy practicing. Like I when I practice, it's because I like need the like release of it. Like drums in
Hmm.
particular are so physical that it's just such like a moment to really be practicing and going all out for it. But if you are starting a band and you're already trying to play live, you're already trying to release, but you haven't even practiced your own instrument first, everything else is going to be exponentially harder.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to just not only just be tight on your instrument just for the instrument's sake, but also focus on your identity as a musician on that instrument. I know what kind of ideas come into my head on the drums. I know what I'm capable of playing. I know kind of what my sound is going to be in different contexts. And when you know that about yourself, everything else becomes much easier and you're able to really like, like you're not going to just take off with the first band that you joined. It's going to help you find the band that you feel the most comfortable in
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to know what you want.
Yeah, so before I ask the last question, was there anything else you wanted to mention or talk about today?
Just that our new EP, It Feeds, comes out on June 28th. The pre-save link for that is already up everywhere, like on all of our social media. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, even any one of those places under Brotality Band. And we post all about everything that we have going on there. So yeah, like we have the EP coming out, and then shortly after that, we're headed out on tour from July 9th to August 4th, and that's kind of all through like the upper Midwest out into like the Midwest, and coming through a little bit of southern, like southeastern USA as well. So yeah, we will be all over, and we hope to see you guys at some shows this summer.
Yeah, so the last question is, what is the soundtrack of your life?
Ooh. So is this like a specific album or artist?
It is however you want to answer it.
Ooh, shoot.
Oh.
The entire System of a Down discography played at the same time. That's probably it.
Yeah.
Honestly, and like not even like totally as a joke. I just think like just because of the dynamic that they have throughout their discography, I think is relatively all encompassing. And I just think the eclecticness of it is something I'm drawn to.
I think I'm gonna go in a similar route with John on like picking a certain band. Probably like Reliant K for me is a band that like all of their lyrics speak to me on a level where like it genuinely feels sometimes like the same things and moments that like the lyricist is describing is like the same things I have gone through. And
Mhm.
so I can like actually point to like certain songs all throughout their albums where like I feel like exactly like that. So it really has been like a soundtrack kind of to my like in high school I got into them, and then through college and everything now too, still like I'm super into them, and like it's almost like eerie how much so many of their albums and songs have just aligned with just feelings that I've been going through or struggles that I've had. So I would say, yeah, Reliant K, and specifically the album Forget and Not Slow Down, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. That album specifically, like every lyric just like genuinely touches my soul.
I think in the most literal sense, the soundtrack to my life would be like monthly Spotify playlists that I make every month. Like I will like for every month I just put on like the songs that I listen to most frequently, and
Mhm.
usually at the end of the month I'll have about like 30 songs or so in a playlist. And I've kind of realized like how that has kind of become like a soundtrack because I can go back to like February 2022, and like listening to that group of songs together like 100% brings me right back to however I was feeling back then, and I can
Mhm.
picture where I was, and like that was the music that I listened to all throughout that month. So that's something I would totally recommend anybody does, like make monthly playlists of what you've been listening to, because you can go back and it takes you right back to that moment. Yeah, I think that's probably the soundtrack of my life.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming and talking to me today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course. Thank you.
Thank you. This was
truly been a
awesome.
pleasure. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and good luck on your tour.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
Thank you
it.
so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a nice rest of your day.
Same
Thank
to
you.
you.
Take
Same
care.
to you.
Bye.
Listeners, make sure to go check them out and be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, at TikTok at STO Lives Podcast. Thanks for joining us.